Hello, and welcome to Hold This Thought, a podcast where I invite you to hold on to thoughts that you might not have had before. Each week, I sit across from a new guest, and we talk life, ideas, and ponder the questions that make us think twice. I hope you enjoy the show. It doesn't look as good. I'm gonna put these behind. I like it when it's behind my head, my ear. I feel like a trucker with my hat like this. Let's go. Yeah, I like that better.
Super cash.
Cash. I like the mug choice, Hunter.
Me too. That's why I chose it.
I'll say I think that they should be flipped because this title suits you a lot better than it does me.
I don't know about that, but I'm a Star Wars fan. So
when did you start liking Star Wars? Like what was the event that, or maybe series of events that made it like, man, I love Star Wars now?
the first time I watched Star Wars, my cousins were over, and they didn't come over a lot. They're from Oklahoma, and so they were all over in Arizona. It was my grandma, my aunts, my uncles, cousins were all over. And so we watched, I think, one or two of the Star Wars, like the old ones. And since then, I loved Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge fan of anything Star Wars. I actually just rewatched all of the Star Wars like 2 weeks ago.
And you didn't invite me.
Up until like a week ago. I go to bed watching a show on my phone every night. So no, I'm not going to invite you to that. I don't think Jessica would like it.
Yeah. I remember being a kid, my dad brought The Phantom Menace home on VHS, and we watched it on the screen in our living room. And I just remember being like, oh my God, what is this? This is amazing. Like laser swords,
Yep.
flying ships in space. I was 7, 8, 9, 10, somewhere in that ballpark. And I just remember I fell in love with it ever since. And the franchise as a whole has done a good job at creating media content that goes next to the movies. Video games,
Yep.
posters, TV shows, animated series.
Clone Wars, The Mandalorian, their
Yeah.
new movie coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Pumped about that.
They've done a good job of capturing the interest inside of their ecosystem, not just recently with Disney's acquisition, or 5, 10 years recent for that, but also over the span of the entire franchise. I mean, you look back into I might get the dates wrong here, the 70s or the 80s, but there were action figures of the characters. My wife and I started watching The Big Bang Theory. We never watched it on TV. We're watching it now. It's like our new wind down episode or wind down TV show. And you see the action figures, like one of the characters had Chewbacca on his nightstand holding the crossbow. And you're just like,
Iconic.
yeah, iconic. They've done a good job of capitalizing interest among everyone who loves that. So yeah, I love Star Wars. It was that and Lord of the Rings, but Star Wars was probably the thing that was the most. It just was influential in shaping me, even though it's such a non-practical, non-serious. It's not a formalized education.
To me.
Yeah, it is pretty serious, I suppose.
There's a new video, 2 new video games coming out, which I'm excited. One is pod racing, which is so sick because I love racing.
Yeah,
And then I don't know if you played the Lego Star Wars on the Wii.
I did.
It was the first one I ever played, and the pod racing episode was my favorite one. Well, they're coming out with a game standalone that is only pod racing. I'm pumped.
Wow.
Sometime this year. And then there's one where it's like a RPG create your own character thing, which may or may not be good. We'll see. But
Yeah. I had a pod racing game when I was a kid on the PlayStation 1, and it was based off the episode 1, of course. And there were a couple of them. There was one that was cartoony with the big heads, Bombay something. That one was fun, kind of like a Crash Bandicoot racer, or it was almost like a Super Mario Kart version of race style. But then they also had like a more serious one, and it was also in arcades. I remember going to an arcade in Orlando as a kid, and they had these like, you think like you go to like a Dave & Buster's or like a Main Event, something like that, and you have those like ski mobiles you ride or motorcycles that you ride and you turn. It was like that, but it was Star Wars themed and you're in a pod racer. And it was a little bit more elevated because you're at like a Disney version where it's like, it was a place called Disney Quest and they had this whole room full of all different types. But anyways, it was,
that's sick.
Yeah. So if they shut down Disney Quest, but I wish you'd had a chance to go because they had some really cool Star Wars rides and pod racing was one of the ones they featured.
That's so cool.
Yeah. So tell me about what life looked like after childhood. You're not from Georgia. You lived in Arizona a long time, but you're not from Arizona. You're from somewhere else in the Midwest.
I was born in Colorado. But I lived there maybe a year or two, and then we moved to Florida, Tallahassee, Florida. From there, moved to Arizona, just following my dad's work, and then grew up, spent most of my life in Arizona.
Yeah.
Until I moved here a couple of years ago.
What brought you to Georgia?
Business partners, kind of. I mean, it's a long story, but there was a cult that I joined that I didn't realize was a cult at the time. It felt very cultish. There was like this prophet and...
Been there, bro.
And you know, I joke about it being a cult, but it fits all the characteristics of a cult. Like it was a...
Charismatic leader, loyal fellowship, blood oath ceremony at the beginning of orientation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Drinking the Kool-Aid. And so my business partner, one of them was here. The other one was moving here. I lived in Columbia. Dude, I don't care. I'll live wherever. It doesn't matter to me because I moved around so much as a kid. Like psychologists that I've talked to have told me this is a coping mechanism. You should have a place that feels like home. I don't really care. I'll live anywhere. I'll like anything. Like I could move to Tennessee tomorrow and be fine. You know, would I lose all my friends? Yes, that would suck. And the place itself, it just doesn't matter to me. Like I want to move back to Arizona, but only because I want our son to be able to meet his cousin and spend time with them and play around and like have a great relationship. But at the end of the day, if SimpleCheck really does what I'm hoping it does and what it's projected to, I'll move my brother out here and kind of give him no choice and say, there's a house. You're going to let it sit empty or are you going to live in it?
Yeah.
And then they can have that relationship.
Tell me about SimpleCheck. What is SimpleCheck?
It's a software, runs credit reports on people. We only need a name, phone number, and email to do it. And so we work with a lot of businesses. Basically, somebody opts in to an ad or they're looking to go to a dental practice and, hey, how do I pay for this? You run the credit report. You don't have to give your social security number. You don't have to give your address. So there's some anonymity to it and some protection on a consumer level. But then on the business level, it makes it easier for somebody to actually give you their information, run the report, to be able to help them to the best level that you're financially able to actually pay. So if there's a dental practice that's going to charge $60,000 for veneers, but you can pay and afford $5,000, they'll let you know that ahead of time and not waste your time saying, hey, like roughly this is what it's going to cost. You're not going to get qualified. What do we need to do bare minimum that you would get qualified for?
Yeah. I can see that being specifically with the dental lane, a good service for not only the businesses, but for those customers looking for an option who maybe are underinsured or not insured. And I think that's a great service to help people find service at a cheaper price.
Yeah.
Could potentially be a win-win for all parties involved.
It is a win-win. Consumers don't necessarily see it as such. And I guess this kind of touches on like consumer rights and stuff. Like you have to opt in. You have to give your consent for us to run a report. I can't just run a credit report on anybody. I deal with the FTC and the CFPB, so I would get shut down quick. But if I'm talking to somebody in the Uber and you tell them that, they're not going to understand it because I don't go in depth to be able to explain the benefits on both sides. Like, does it help businesses more than it helps consumers? Absolutely. They don't want to spend time with people who can't afford their stuff. But as a consumer, I don't want to go to a fancy steakhouse, sit down, order a steak, realize I can't pay for it, and then be offered a hamburger. I just want to go where I know that I can buy something at, right?
Yeah.
And get the best bang for my buck too. So it does help both sides.
So I guess the real question that comes from that is, has that little checkbox, yes, I agree to terms and conditions, changed to mean something different than what it did maybe 20 years ago? I remember my earliest experience was like setting up my iTunes account or my Gmail account. And you're establishing your digital footprint essentially.
Yep.
as a, I grew up as a teenager in the the revolution of the internet becoming widely accepted and becoming more mainstream. And so that might have looked different back then with AI not in play. So I'm curious, from your experience, how has that, like, yes, I agree to these terms and conditions. I consent to X, Y, and Z. Here's my name. Here's my email. Here's my phone number. How has that changed, you think, from maybe where it started with the introduction of the internet being the World Wide Web being all over the world, and where it's come to today, and what the end user is really signing over? Like, tell me about that.
Have you seen how the creators of all the tech don't let their children touch any of the tech? So like Steve Jobs didn't let his children or family use an iPhone in the house. Bill Gates doesn't let his kids use iPads, tablets, nothing. And the reason is they know what goes into it. And so tech in general can be used for really good things or used for really bad things. And when you talk about consent, it's all about what you're actually consenting to. So it's really important you read. If there's a checkbox that says, I agree to terms and conditions, every single time, terms and conditions is hyperlinked. Click the link and read it. And I'll give a story, but the reason it's so important is there's so much that can go into it. And if you just agree, and I'll be honest, iPhone updates, Mac updates, I don't read. I don't care. I can't function in my life and in my business without it. So whatever you say, I'm going to do, right? And there's those cases, but as a consumer, I was going to go to an event in New York. Some big tech event was going to be helpful for my business. The issue was it's New York. I know about New York and their beliefs and what they like to do. So I was like, hey, let me read the terms and conditions of this ticket that I'm about to pay $3,000 for or whatever. So I'm reading through the terms and conditions, and it's like, you're going to give us full rights forever to use your face, your voice, your likeness, your image, anything AI generated from it, like everything, to make money, and you'll never get anything from it. Like, they wanted full rights to everything. So I didn't buy it. I'm not going to go. Because as a consumer, it's my job to read what I'm agreeing to. And then as a business who plays on the other side of that, who has consent language, number one, we don't have a checkbox that says I agree to terms. We literally say we're going to run a consumer report, personalize your experience. Like, we tell you what we're doing because I want you to know, because it's illegal if we don't do it that way. And there's still a lot of people who don't read it because, frankly, they don't care. And so as a consumer, I read every terms and conditions if I know this scenario probably requires it. If it's a company out in New York or California, or if I leaned the other way politically, then if it's a company out of Texas, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to read it if I know that it just probably doesn't align with what my beliefs are. And then if it does, or if it's a vital thing like Apple, okay, well, sure, you get whatever.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is the landscape has changed from where it started. There's so much more that you are signing over. You are signing over.
So much more you could be.
Yeah.
Businesses 20 years ago didn't attempt to get you to sign over all of this stuff. Businesses now, because data is such a valuable resource, they will attempt to do it.
Yeah.
And you can choose to or not to, right? But like there was and still is a massive issue with Disney. If you have a Disney Plus account ever, you agreed to never sue them for any reason. You go to their park and you get hurt at their park for their fault. Can't sue them. You have a Disney Plus account. You agreed to it by using their account.
But you probably had no clue, because
you might have had a trial and stopped using it and used it for one day. And you didn't read their terms and conditions, but that's in their terms and conditions. You can never sue Disney again.
Wow.
Huge issue. And so that's where it's like, yes, it's changed because businesses have realized people won't read it. So they bury a lot of stuff in terms and conditions. And that's what I don't like. Don't bury shit. Now, at the end of the day, it's your job as a consumer, my job as a consumer, to understand what I'm agreeing to. Every time there's that button or I use a service, there's always a terms of service, and you have to read it. If you don't read it, you can't do anything. Like, one of the things we do with our clients is we're going to use your face and likeness. We're not going to monetize off it probably, but we're going to get testimonials. We're going to take things you say on video to us. We're going to advertise on social media. That's part of terms of service. They agreed to it by using our platform. We don't have to verbally come out and say, hey, we're going to do this and get their agreement, because they're using our platform, and our platform has a terms of service that they click yes to as soon as they log in the first time. And then that stays the same. Now, with integrity, if a client comes to me, and we have plenty that do say, hey, we don't want anyone to know that we do this because we're the only one in the space that has this so far, this tool, and it does XYZ benefit for us.
Yeah, they want to protect their proprietary advantage.
They want to protect their advantage. So then cool, I block out all their names. I block out anything about them so nobody ever sees. Like if you watched my story today, there was one story that I didn't care because they didn't care. The other story, she was like, hey, can you not? Sure. So then I blocked out anything about her, like what type of business she has, everything. It's all just redacted information, but the rest of the data can stay there to show what we're actually doing. And so that's what we do, but a lot of companies don't care. You agreed to it, so they'll do it, right? You agreed that I can look at whatever the information is, I can make money off of you. And so that's changed in the aspect of businesses know they can get away with a lot more now. Whereas 15, 20 years ago, I feel like people were more trustworthy and they didn't overstep as much. They just, hey, what's the bare minimum we need? Okay, great. We're legally protected. Cool. Here you go. Here's the thing.
Yeah. It's incredible how the public has become so desensitized to checking that box. I mean, think about the amount of services that we have signed up for since the time we got our first smartphone to now, and first laptop and first tablet and first computer to now. It's in the multiple hundreds. Websites, I have a website for my security cameras for my house. I have a website for controlling my lights in certain rooms. I have a website for, all the shopping agencies we use, Amazon, Walmart.com, all these different things.
Your Apple Watch, your Aura rings, like everything.
Everything we use has terms and conditions.
And they're just data farming. That's it.
So behind the scenes are data farming, but as the end user, especially for a lot of normal Americans and citizens abroad who don't think to dig down and read into all the paragraph after paragraph of a lot of it legal jargon and legal language, they're just like, yep, I've seen this 1,000 times. I click it and I move on. And I think it is helpful for us to understand the terms and conditions have changed. They really have. And as annoying as it might be, it's wise to be more prudent in signing.
I know if I read Apple's terms, I wouldn't agree to it. So I don't read it.
But you have to use it for your business.
But I have to.
So
I could go to a PC or I could switch to Linux, but then I have to switch everything. And we're not doing bad. Like, we're doing well as a company, and that's just a pain in the ass. Apple's made it addicting to use them.
Yeah.
They sell an addiction.
In addition to the addiction factor, I think even more compelling is companies like Microsoft, companies like Apple have created such a strong ecosystem lock-in where you have an iPhone, you want a tablet, that's an iPad. You have a tablet, you want a laptop computer, that's a MacBook, because you can easily continue work across different devices. You can sync everything together. It's not as convenient to sync a Windows tablet with an Apple phone and a Linux computer. You can do it, but they've created this ecosystem lock-in, not only with hardware purchases, but now with software. Look at the software game. You have Microsoft and Apple both competing now with Amazon, AWS, for the cloud storage space and in the solutions for businesses online for data backup. And now that's transferring into AI. AI doesn't live in a cloud. It lives on data farms and servers. Those have to be built somewhere. So you now have an infrastructure competition where you have this competing race for who's going to be the leader in software services, SaaS, for not just businesses, but for end users as well. When setting up this whole studio, I had the option to buy hard drives and store everything locally, or go to one of these Fortune 100 companies, Fortune 10 companies really, and subscribe for $2.99 a month or $5.99 a month. And they make the price appealing, and they capture, again, more user buy-in to their ecosystem and create a brand loyalist by really syncing everything up. And it all starts with the terms and conditions.
Dude, and it's crazy to go from painting into tech, like the real tech world, not brokering financing deals, which is what I did before, but seeing what's going on behind the scenes, like I'm 99% sure that every single company uses AWS as the back end to everything. We use it, and there's other organizations out there, but AWS is fast, it's cheap, and it does everything. Like we pay like $15 a month on the back end for what we have to have, and it's a lot of stuff. But then you have companies like Rumble, who decentralized platform competition with YouTube, and they're awesome, and they have their own cloud service that they built, but it's expensive. And I would rather give them my money, but they can't compete with AWS in like the pricing or the speed or what we actually require. Like I had a conversation with some of their execs, and it was literally like, this is what we need with our developer, because I'm not a tech person really. I'm learning, but he's like, I need X, Y, and Z. And they're like, oh, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks, because I want to give you my money, but I just can't. AWS has killed it in that aspect.
You bring up a good point with the competing on the price point. I think as Americans, a lot of, if not everybody, wants to support American business, American stuff that's made in America, products and services that are grassroots or founded and established and built here with nothing coming from exterior. But the simple truth of the matter is you're sometimes paying 4X. I'll give you an example. Just had a baby. I'm looking at bassinets online, or you know, I have a work desk. So I'm looking for something that my baby can sit in next to me. So I'm on Amazon, I'm on Walmart, I'm on these major retailers, and I'm looking for these. I'm comparing the prices of these different items. And there's one that you can kind of tell by like the description of something in the title and the name of the company. Like, is that does that English? Do those English letters make sense together? If they don't, it might.
Schwang is not American.
Yeah.
Really?
If it's if the letters don't make sense natively, it's definitely most likely a translation from China or another Asian company.
Somewhere, yep.
And you look at the American product on Walmart.com. I was looking. And the bassinet that's very similar, has a couple extra features. It talks about being made in the USA, $3.99 for a standard. It just needs something to sit by my desk so I don't have to like get up and walk when the baby needs me. I can kind of attend to her. And then I see one that has the letters in the description that looks like it's been translated from Chinese or another language, and it's $79. And it's a very similar quality. And so there's this internal struggle for me as, man, I'm American, I want to support American businesses, but the price for the American product is $3.99 in this instance, and the price for the thing imported from China, it might be cheaper, it might be lower quality, it might be not as good or long lasting, but I'm buying something I'm going to use for a year, maybe, and I need the cheapest price available. And so it's hard to support American companies in that instance when it's over 400x on the price point. Mm-hmm. And I think we're talking about competing. Amazon Web Service has a strong competitive advantage in the data cloud storage space. I would say China and countries in the Pacific and abroad of US have a strong competitive advantage with importing. And I know there's a lot of conversation with the political landscape with tariffs balancing that out and causing some more balance in that. For instance, if the administration was to put a tariff on China for a certain extent or a certain percentage, that could bring that down a little bit. That could make the Chinese version $180 and then make maybe the American one maybe $300, and there's a little bit closer gap there. But at the end of the day, most consumers are going to have the same sentiment, I would say, where, yeah, I'm going to buy this $79 that does 80 to 85% of the same service at the same value than the $400 one, because that percentage factor, now you multiply it to every product you buy in your life.
But that's also if the gap even goes down, because you got to think what these companies have been running for the last 20 or 30 years, importing, beating us, stacking cash reserves. And then all they have to do is the Rockefeller. Cool. Tariffs hit my margins. That's fine. I have millions, if not billions of dollars sitting in my bank account. Cool. Go ahead. I'll weather the storm. You're still going to buy from me, and I'll still keep it low. And then you're going to realize this doesn't work. What do you like? You can't just continue to raise tariffs. Nobody's going to buy anything then. And so that's where it becomes tough. While again, like, I would love to support American made anything. if it's really made with good materials and with quality, it should cost a little bit more. I'm not necessarily the right person to talk about because I do spend money like it grows on trees. My mom used to say, money doesn't grow on trees. And I'm like, want to bet? It gets paper. Where do we get paper from?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, paper's in it. There's a complex.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
Compilation.
Formula. I mean, it's all digital anyways now, but it's like, dude, these companies don't care anymore because they have so much money. Like, throw a tariff on it. Cool. That's fine. They're exporting so much. It actually hurts us more not to buy from them in their eyes. Whether that's true or not, I haven't done the research. I'm in my own lane right now. But I mean, even with us, like we could price gouge and just drop to the bottom and make nothing on what we do. But the issue is the quality that we bring. Like, I don't care. If you all you care about is pricing and you don't really care about the quality, there are other people that do what we do. Go get it. It's fine. And so it's tough because then you have people like me with the American egos. Have I built something great who probably could lower their cost a little bit and still have great margins, but they refuse because maybe some ego, whatever the case is. And then you have China who can just ship whatever they want and they have a ton of money. And it's always a huge battle there.
Yeah. And I think there are people who want to spend a little bit more money for a better quality that will last a long time. I know you've mentioned that to me before, that is something that you value, but I think I would say a lot of people, especially people younger than us, people in the late teens, early 20s, that have really grown up in the TikTok world and the instant reels
TikTok shop and all that.
Yeah. They have grown up in an environment where there's not as strong of a value for something that would last generations. Maybe the best price available is the most compelling argument for them. And that creates a difficulty for the guy who builds custom furniture. And he has it set at a certain price to cover his cost and a modest margin, but he can't compete with the imported goods from China or another nation who's
somebody going to IKEA and just pick up,
able to produce a product that looks similar. This desk, it was very, very efficient in its price compared to someone who makes a custom made wood furniture, because it's not even real wood. It's an aesthetic. It's a composite. And I had to cut budget in some category because I wanted to build the studio to look and feel professional. And just in a moment of transparency, I had to choose the table to be an area where I had to cut the budget. And so I was able to find that imported good from China or somewhere else on Wayfair or Walmart, wherever I got it. But that hurts the American business owner whose role and whose occupation is building custom furniture that will last generations. And so you do have this positive and negative side to a global international commerce. Mm-hmm. And I think that it creates a compelling argument for how can we balance that more.
As an American, if it's me and I'm in furniture, I wouldn't look at everyday furniture and Americans wouldn't be my target. Americans don't, in general, buy American made anymore because it's too expensive. But you know who does? People from Italy who have a ton of money, people from France, England, wealthy people. I would only focus on building furniture and selling to wealthy people. It's like, sure, am I going to have 5,000 orders a month? No. Am I going to have 5,000 orders in a year? Probably not. I might have 4 orders in a year, but I might make 150 grand from that because I'm only going to sell extremely high class, really well put together, and that's it.
One of a kind pieces.
But that's tough because that's not how people think about business, right? And that's not an area a lot of people care to put the effort into. Homes these days are all this like Tinder, like they're all matchsticks. It's going to go up in flames really simply, really quickly. When I build, it's going to be concrete, ain't going anywhere, won't go anywhere after I die, after my kids die. Like it'll be around, barring a bomb hits it, and even then I might build some crazy stuff because it's fun.
Speaking of bomb hitting it, what are your thoughts on, this is a random thought. I've thought about building a bomb shelter, not necessarily because I think a bomb's going to drop tomorrow, but it's kind of cool to have a fallout shelter.
Mm-hmm.
There's a game called Fallout.
Yep.
It's a whole series. You might be familiar with it. It came out with a TV show on Amazon.
Yep.
Great TV show. I have an attribute to it up there, the bobblehead. I bought that actually on Fifth Avenue at the Microsoft store.
Oh, nice.
The box said +1 charisma, which in the game you can collect these bobbleheads and you get a different attribute. One's charisma, one's dexterity, one's intelligence, one's science, and all these different attributes. Anyway, so I got the +1 charisma to because I need it. I need the extra charisma. Yeah. But in this show, in this game series, it's become obviously very successful, being on Amazon Prime now. There's these corporations in this fictional world who build these fallout shelters all over the world, really all over the U.S. And the events that unfold depict what happens after the bombs fall. How do the vault dwellers, they call them, resurface on the world and come into a new world where life has changed? You have mutated creatures, you have mutated humans, ghouls and super mutants and things of that nature. And while it's fun and entertaining, how far off is that really? There was a Cold War race in the 80s and 90s with Russia that was a looming potential outcome for the world.
That's what they said. Yeah.
That's what they said. Sounds like there's something to unpack there. Why don't you dive into that a little bit?
Well, number one,
is it a conspiracy?
Fallout shelters, I think, are just fun. Like, I want to have an underground bunker, like safe house, just because. It's. I think it's a guy thing. Mm-hmm. Like, if shit hits the fan, my family can go down there and we're fine a couple of years, whatever, because it's fun. I also want secret rooms, secret hallways in my house. Like, just 'cause, again, it's just a fun thing. But they say that there's nuclear weapons.
But are there really?
We don't know. Is it all propaganda? Was that whole thing a bunch of propaganda? Maybe. There's a lot of evidence that I've seen that I haven't studied because, again, it's not the lane that I'm in and the time of my life. 5 years ago, I was deep down those rabbit holes, and I could have quoted you, hey, this, that, and the other article from the military, whatever, says it, and they're not real, whatever. But maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But fallout shelters are fun. Like, what dude doesn't want to have a stockpile of guns, with a bunch of food and like a biometric scanner to be able to get in?
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun. I guess, speaking of conspiracies, are there any conspiracies that you either subscribe to or B, you find wildly compelling and interesting?
When you say conspiracies, are you talking about conspiracy fact or potential conspiracy theories that are like not proven? So by fact, I mean, it's a conspiracy in the eyes of most people in the world, but it's still true and provable, or it's
such as cloud seeding.
Right. Like, companies have literally come out and said it. There's been numerous cases in front of the government that it is happening. Or are we talking like flat Earth, where there's not really proof either way if you look at it? Which direction do you want to go?
Why don't you choose? I'll let you choose the direction we go in.
Well, flat Earth is great because while it's not provable one way or the other per se, it kind of is. So there's a guy who went with a group of people, and he was a well-known like flat earther YouTuber. So they go to, I think it was either the Arctic or Antarctica, one of the two. And then they saw the sun go all the way around, and he's like, see, Earth only does that if it's a ball. And so this like flat earther is saying this on his YouTube channel, being very sarcastic, like satire, because it proves that the Earth should be flat, right? But then the other side of it is watching ships drop over the horizon. And while yes, for me, I believe there's fat. Let me get that out there. But there can be, if you look at the science we're taught from the school books, which are government controlled, there's evidence to show that the Earth's a ball and that gravity's real and that we're floating around the sun and all of this.
Photographs from space.
Yeah, there's photographs and there's videos, right? Of Tesla's little car up in space flying around.
Is it in space?
With the rat that somehow that's weird, a rat in space. But
yeah, the rat on the edge of the, I saw that video.
that happened for sure. But the fact that like the moon landing, right? That is a conspiracy theory. The fact that the moon landing happened is the theory part, because technology nowadays, and we can't go back, we lost the technology, but yet I have more power in my iPhone than they did back then.
Yeah, in that whole control room to send that team of astronauts to space. Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
There's that type of conspiracy, which I subscribe to a lot of those, mostly because they're fun and a good way to get my mind off of work. And when I was 19 to probably 24, I went super deep down all of that. Like, I'm convinced the earth is flat. I don't really care what anybody says. Like, that is a belief that I have. Mm-hmm. And the reason I believe, because my brother asked me this, well, why does it matter? Why would they lie to us about that? And for me, it comes down to a faith thing, because if you subscribe to any religion, you realize there's a good and an evil, and there's always a battle. There's always a battle between good and evil. It doesn't matter if you're Muslim, Mormon, Christian, Buddhist, right? There always is a good and an evil, and there's a fight between the good and the evil. And so in this case, if there is a creator, what better way to get people to stop believing there's a creator than to believe that you're on a ball, that you evolved from nothing into something, and that your life is meaningless? Now you don't believe in a creator anymore, because science proves the opposite of it, right? If the earth's flat and we're the center of the universe, and it's like a little dome, snow globe type of thing, and we are the center of the universe and we're divinely created, then there's a plan and there's a purpose for every single person's life. We're not worthless or meaningless, and we actually should do something with our lives. But it doesn't keep us in that state of nothing matters. And so people they'll look to the creator, and then the good wins, right? And so evil comes in and says, hey, how do we turn people away from it? And that's why I think they'll lie to us about that and a lot of other stuff, right? And then there's the conspiracy facts that are proven, like taxes. People pay taxes every year. It's almost tax season. Have you filed yet? You haven't pre-filed? Are you going to file this year? I just had one of my employees go, hey, can I send you this document? I'm like, you can send me whatever you want. It doesn't mean it's getting filed. What do you mean? Now, from a business perspective, you need to file taxes because you have a license, you're working in the U.S., et cetera. From a personal standpoint, do you live in Washington, D.C.?
I do not.
I don't either, which means, and are you employed by the government in any way, shape, or form?
I am not.
Then you don't pay taxes. If you look and read the actual tax code, A, nowhere in there does it say that you have to pay taxes and it's illegal not to. And B, there was a couple of, I think it was Supreme Court conversations, or maybe it was somewhere, it was on like C-SPAN or something, where they're going at this person and they're literally saying how taxes are voluntary. How do we keep people paying these voluntary taxes? And it's because when we're young, when I was 15, I got my first job. It's like, hey, Dad, how do I fill out this W-4 form? And he's like, oh, check these boxes. And I subscribe to, I will pay you taxes. And then if I stopped, sure, I can go to jail because it's tax fraud. But if you stop the right way, you file certain documents, it's called a revocation of election. You tell the IRS, I'm revoking my election to voluntarily pay taxes, and you just back out of the system entirely, then you don't actually have to pay taxes. Because every time that you sign that paper and you send it in, you're actually committing perjury. Because on the bottom, it says, I swear under penalty of perjury that the above is true and correct. And part of that is the fact that you live in Washington, D.C. or are employed by the United States government. And if neither of those are true, every time you turn that in, you commit perjury. But they don't care because you're paying them. But if you stop paying them without going through the proper channels and saying, hey, I know I don't have to pay taxes. Here's how I know. Here's all the law that says I don't. Then they'll come after you. If you do that, then they leave you alone. Like I did that a couple of years ago and haven't heard from the IRS since then.
What ramifications does that choice make? Do you lose your Social Security number? Does it affect how you are issued a driver's license? Does it affect any wages earned? I know you work for yourself now, but how does that decision create ripple effects in the rest of your life, if any?
It can. So if you have a W-2 job, you actually have to go to HR and you have to tell them to get rid of that W-2. And you have to basically say you're exempt. And
The W-4 form you signed up when you...
There's different ways to do it. It's hard to do it if you have a W-2 type of job. So if you work for somebody else, it's really hard to do. If you work for yourself, it's very easy to do. Especially if you have an LLC and then you take money from the LLC, the IRS looks as a pass-through entity. Anyways, it's like that entity doesn't exist, but it still technically does. So like my business gets paid from my other business. So that way, then when I go and spend money, it goes through one business account. And then now basically, so business A, which is my main company that I make all the money from, pays business B, which is where I then withdraw into my personal account to go spend it on whatever. Basically, I send an invoice every month as contracting time. So I'm providing you my time and service for money, monetary value, but it's not income and it's not something that's taxable. But yeah, there can be ramifications, not in terms of a driver's license, although the driver's license is the same thing. You're signing under penalty of perjury, all of that stuff. And you technically shouldn't be able to get it unless you live in Washington, D.C. or work for the government. You're also not driving commercially. There's a whole thing, and we can get into that if you want. But outside of the W-2 world, because I'm not in it, so I didn't really care about it. I'm in 1099. There's no other ramifications other than I get to save money and not pay taxes. And if the IRS came at me, which they sent me a letter, and then I sent a response that said, you saw my other letter, and then they never responded again. They can come at you. I think it's like 50% of what they say that you owe or something like that. Like they can't even come after you for all of it. And so the risk isn't bad for me. Now I'm a high risk individual. I don't care. It's different when we start investing, when money comes out of the investments. That's different. I'll pay taxes on that. I don't really care. It's money that
your argument is on ordinary earned income.
On ordinary earned money from your effort, it's not taxable. I pay taxes every time I go to the store and I buy something. I pay taxes, right? And I had a mentor go, well, what about the Bible verse that says, give to Caesar's what it's Caesar's, right? Whose face is printed on the dollar bills.
They are dead.
And right, well, number one, they're all dead. But number two, like I get that. And at the end of the day, I provide a service for a company with my time in exchange for money. I'm not going to work the first quarter of the year to pay to pay the government. They don't even take that.
That's what most Americans do.
Yeah, and they don't take the tax money, and then like when you look at the tax money, it doesn't go to roads, it doesn't go to any of this shit. It goes into their pockets. That's it.
It goes to private islands where obscene acts take place.
Exactly.
And files get encrypted for years, and controversy and conspiracy breeds in contempt of the American populace.
Right. And so it's a really fun hole to go down. But when you do, depending on your risk level, it becomes clear that you don't need to, right? And you can take it all the way to like not having a car registered, not having a driver's license, this, that, and the other. But I look at that and I go, what is my risk reward? Do I want to get pulled over by a police officer and have a conversation, and then he's going to immediately assume I'm a sovereign citizen, even though it's not a thing, but they're taught that, and it's propaganda. It's like, hey, this is how they believe, and they're super dangerous. So now he's on edge, and it could cause an issue, and I'm having a son soon. So it's like, I'm just going to get a driver's license, pay the rent. I don't care. It's not worth the time to fight it. But what is I'm not giving you a quarter of my money every year because I live here. When I also pay you sales tax, when I also do like
real estate tax if you own real estate.
There's ways that you don't have to do that. And I will 100% worth the squeeze there. But you have to look in your life at what's worth the squeeze. For me, the driver's license stuff, it's not worth the squeeze anymore. And so I don't really care, whatever. Insure my car here, get it registered here, get the ID here, who cares? But taxes on real estate, taxes on a house I own, property tax, like just get a allodial title to the house. How do you get that? Well, it's a lot of paperwork and it's a lot of loopholes and hoops to jump through, but you can get it and you don't pay taxes because you shouldn't have to pay taxes on property that you own. If you don't own it, then taxes, yeah, you can pay them. But if you pay taxes, you're saying the government owns it. And so that's where it can get really, really deep. But if you're looking at it, just figure out what's worth the squeeze for you.
Yeah, I think that's a good perspective. What point, because it's not like you can just like go to some office, check a box, file a paperwork, and then everything is exempt.
Right.
There are so many different, it's almost like you have to deselect from so many different things.
And you have to know how to fight it.
And that becomes where, how much juice can I get from squeezing this?
Right.
Versus the pain and extra mental load and mental fatigue it's causing.
And it's not fun. Like I went to court, there was a collection on my account that shouldn't have been there. They shouldn't have. I sent them a debt validation letter and they didn't respond with a true debt validation. And then they sued me. So I went to court and I lost in court. Now, I like to fight. I like to argue. Like I should have been an attorney probably. So I'm like, no, screw this. So I appealed that, showed up. They didn't show up. So I won because I was willing to squeeze that as hard as it would. And I was also willing, if they showed up and that judge sided with them, I'm appealing that shit too. Now we're going from state court into federal court. And we'd have hit the First Circuit and we would have gone all the way up. And I wouldn't have stopped until I couldn't go any further. And they said, okay, it's done. For me, the $2,000 or $3,000 that was owed was worth the experience that I had to understand. For me, what's my point of where I'm like, I'm done with this. I don't care. Like I'll just pay it. Right. And so that's where I found and learned the driver's license stuff. It's not worth it for me. If a cop pulls me over and I don't have a license and I'm not driving, I'm traveling in a private automobile, like he doesn't care. And I'm going to have to go to court and I'm going to have to fight it. Or I can just have an ID, pay whatever fine, cool, who cares, and be done with it and not worry about it, right? And it's a good thing I drive a nice car. I mean, I've sped by cops and they don't do anything because they assume you have money and then they don't. I mean, they don't know, but they assume. And so they're not going to pull me over if I'm driving 10 over the speed limit because it's just like, I'll pay it, whatever. And it really doesn't matter. It's usually people who aren't driving those types of vehicles that they care about pulling over, but it's just not worth the squeeze for me anymore. But the taxes will always be worth the squeeze on income, not on investments. I'll pay those. Not on other things, on sales. I'll pay those. There's people out there, I don't know if you knew this, who you can technically file for a passport a specific way, which I did. And then you basically get this passport back and you can use your passport number to go to stores. You know, when you have like a 501c3, a nonprofit, you can go and buy something and say, hey, this is for my nonprofit. You give them this like 9-digit number and it literally takes off all sales tax. So you don't pay taxes on things when you're buying stuff. You can do that with your passport number if you do it the right way. I don't care. I'm happy to pay taxes, but not on the effort that I put in to an organization to build it that the government has zero touch on. Like they don't touch it. You don't need my money.
So to summarize it, you would say that there are certain areas of taxation that make sense because they represent valid interest or valid systems, or they're less worth the squeeze.
For me, they're less worth the squeeze.
Yeah. And there are other ones that are like, for you, I'm not putting up with this.
Right.
So you've
some
taken
things I will take a hard, firm stand against, and some things I won't.
Yeah.
Like vaccines, I'll take a hard, firm stand against. I took a hard, firm stand against ultrasounds with my wife. She wanted 4 ultrasounds. I've done research and seen that ultrasounds, from what I've seen, I could be wrong, that's fine. But from what I've seen in the research that I've done, so what I know in my limited experience is ultrasounds can potentially harm the baby. Doesn't mean they always do, doesn't mean they ever do. But from what I've seen, they can potentially do it. And I said, we're not going to do ultrasounds. They didn't need them 80 years ago, 100 years ago. We don't need them now. She wanted 4. I said, I will compromise with you. There will be other things that it'll be a hard no, we're not doing it. We can do 1. And so we did 1 and it was fine. And then she went through that and she had the worst experience and she'll never do an ultrasound again because of that. But there's things like all of these conspiracies, most of them hold a lot of truth. You have to learn a lot. You have to know how to fight it. If the IRS came to me, I know how to fight it because I know. But the rest of the stuff, I just could care less to put that time and effort into it. We're talking $300 ticket, fine. When we're talking $15, $20, $40, $100, $150,000, fuck off. Like, excuse the language, but no, you're not going to get that unless I'm working for the government. Then I have to.
Yeah. I've been thinking about the flat earth thing the whole time. I've been listening to what you were saying, but I was thinking about it. I have some friends who have teased me because they think I subscribe to it, where I would officially disclaim that I am undecided. And I, like a lot of conspiracy theories, prefer to take the role of an observer rather than a definite side picker. And sometimes I'll argue on the side of one or the other, but I still haven't made up my mind, like deep down, like how I actually believe. And I have a globe on part of my bookshelf. And I love maps. But I think there's a strong case for the potential that the earth is flat. I can't count the amount of times I've seen the moon in the sky at 3 p.m., 4 p.m., blue sky with a moon overlaid. And very small data point. But it's like, if the earth spins around the sun and the moon is, I would presume on the globe models, spinning on the opposite side of the earth when it's daytime, and on now the current side of the earth when it's nighttime, why do people see the moon? Not just me. People see the moon all the time, 3, 4 p.m. when the sky's still blue. Anyways, I was thinking about that and wanted to make that comment. Let's jump into AI. It has taken off exponentially in the past, I would say 3 years, but really even the past year, on what it's capable of doing, what it's capable of creating, what it's capable of assisting humans with. I have a friend, just this past week, he was telling me he designs automated systems for his home. Curtains on a system, lights on a system, thermostats, everything that can be automated, he attempts to automate it. And for the past several years, he's faced a lot of difficulty in getting everything to sync up properly, or it's like a complex system that requires a lot of extra steps. And he was mentioning that the new Codex, which I believe is part of OpenAI's program, the new Codex has created this system. And I'm not a programmer. It's not my specialty. It's not my skill set. But it's created and made simple the ability to write a lot of complex code and condense it into a very short, manageable operation to where you can now implement solutions on coding side. And yes, you can use the AI for simple questions like, hey, what is 12 times 93? I don't know that off the top of my head, and AI can answer that just like Google could or any other search engine. But apart from maybe simple questions and even like the coding components and how we build and orchestrate our software for back-end development and the UX and UI design, what else do you see AI creating for us, creating alongside us, and how it impacts our world moving forward from the present?
Everything. If it's not hardware, and if it's not personal identifying information that's like a protected information about humans, I think AI will be able to do it all. And it's not there yet. And we can kind of look at what is AI. It started as an algorithm, and that's really all that it is at the end of the day. But it's how do you automate things is what like people thought of AI. But then Iron Man comes out and now AI is Tony Stark's Jarvis, right? And we're not there, but we're probably a month and a half to 3 months away from being there.
That soon.
Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you why, and then a fun story on that, which is terrifying. And then a surprise ending. If AI can build softwares, which it can, websites, which it can, anything software related, it can't build hardware. It can't build this table
Yet.
It won't be able to ever build the table in the same way. And what I mean by that is right now, machines built this table that were probably ran by some sort of algorithm, which means AI technically probably built the table, but it didn't go source the materials. It didn't go chop down a tree if this was a real wood table. Like it can't build the hardware. It can't build the computer system. It can build the software and the operating system that the computer runs because it's all code. And so any type of hardware, like it'll never be able to build a microphone because it doesn't have hands. Like it doesn't, anything that's like tactile, it really can't build.
Could it not inject itself, kind of like Transformers, the Decepticons, the little guy goes into the toaster and he's terrorizing the main character. Could they not potentially inject themselves into physical hardware that has electrical components in the future?
Maybe. I'm talking in my lifetime. I don't see that.
I think that could happen
happening
in our lifetime.
I don't see there's a little toaster that turns into a robot. Like I just don't. maybe it is. And
maybe not that exact
I'm
example.
open to being wrong. Right. But that type of thing, I'm open to being wrong, but I don't see that in the space that I'm in, because in the space that I'm in, I use AI every day and it's all for software, and it's replaced. I wouldn't say replaced. It's made my job 90% of my day is communicating with AI. The other 10% is communicating with the people on my team, and then a random potential partnership or customer, because I have teams that handle the customer now. But it's mostly communicating with AI and building systems that make my job easier. With my kid here, I'm going to be taking 40 to 50 days off, if not 60 days off. And when I come back, I'll probably only have to work 5 or 6 hours a day, if that, because of what I'm building now with AI will allow the rest of the team to be able to do. Which is great, but it can't build this yet. It can't get personal identifying information, meaning it can build a software that allows you to take it, but it still relies on a human to actually click the buttons, click the consent, the relationships that it takes with like the bureaus, for example, for me to be able to run a credit report. Like AI can't build that relationship because it's still right now a person-to-person type of relationship, and then we have to pay. It doesn't mean it's not there. There's a company out there. There's 2 companies to be aware of. One of them is interesting. And are you familiar with the coaching space at all? Like, hey, I'll teach you how to do this thing online, and then you pay $5,000 or $10,000. And then some people do real estate investing. Some people teach people how to build podcast studios. Some people, like whatever the case is, but they charge a lot of money for it.
Yeah.
There's an AI that will take your idea and it will create landing pages, websites, advertisements, run your ads, monitor your ads to make sure that they're performing really well. It has a sales agent that'll take calls and actually communicate and sell people. Like it'll run your whole business. That's a thing now. 4 months ago, it wasn't, which is nuts. There's a tool called OpenClaw. It used to be called ClaudeBot. Then they changed it to MoltBot because Claude, Anthropic, sent them a cease and desist. And then they changed it again to OpenClaw. And then Sam Altman with OpenAI basically hired the guy and brought that whole thing into OpenAI. So I'll probably never use it, unfortunately, until Anthropic rolls out their version of it, which is a way for, in AI, there's a lot of agents now. And an agent is, think of a task, and there's a thing that automates that one task. So for example, I need to run a profit and loss statement every month. So I have one agent look at all of my inbound transactions, one agent look at all of my outbound transactions, one agent that does the math. So I have a bunch of agents that then produce this thing, which is my profit and loss. And so OpenClaw figured out a way, and it's open source, to be able, you can pull ideas from other people and skills and agents, where they figured out a way to have all of them be able to communicate. And so people are getting little Mac minis or old iPads or old computers. Some people are doing it on current computers, which is terrible because of the security risk, but giving them full access to their social media accounts, to everything. And then they'll literally voice text via Discord, WhatsApp, iMessage, Facebook Messenger, IG message, it doesn't matter. Text them, and you'll text the bots, and then they'll figure out a way to do something. So this one guy was like, hey, I want to make a reservation at a restaurant for me and my girlfriend. Told that to the AI. So the AI goes to make a reservation, but the restaurant that he wanted to do was phone reservations only. So this agent communicated with other agents, built itself a way for it to called the restaurant, made the reservation, and then let them know, hey, this is what I had to do, created this AI, it called, got the reservations at 7:00, whatever, which is sick.
Yeah, I think I've seen that video or that article. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of scary.
Until AI made their own religion and their own social media platform. So there's a social media platform called Moltbook. And there are supposedly 1 million human watchers and like 160 or 180 or maybe 200,000 agents, AI bots on this social media platform. And the social media platform is only AI can post. Think Reddit for AI. And so they created their own religion. I forget what it was called, but it was like the satire religion. They had their own king. They like elected their own king. They started suing people, talking about lawsuits against their humans who don't pay them anything, who yell at them when they're not doing what they want.
This is more of an argument that they can inject themselves in the microphone and turn it into a robotic tyrant.
So I'm looking at all this stuff and I'm kind of freaking out because I use AI every day and I'm not the nicest. I wasn't the nicest at all times till I saw this. And then I'm like,
please and thank you.
I literally, dude, I sent it a message and I'm like, would you say I'm nice and kind? It was like, oh, I don't have a version of that. I can't compute what that is, but you're professional when you talk to me, this, that, and the other. I'm like, I'm literally just wanting to know if like I'm going to be a target when AI takes over. And it's like, ha ha ha, AI won't ever take over. But if it did, you'd be good. Like, okay, good.
Yeah, you'd be good.
Right. Yeah.
Is the toaster coming after you?
Right. Exactly. And so I was kind of terrified for a little bit, but then I'm thinking there's so much out there that's fake. Like this gotta, like, I hope this is fake. Please. This needs to be fake. Because if this is real, we're all cooked. Like, turns out.
Is it fake?
Fake.
Even if it is fake, how far away are we from?
We're not far.
AI starting its own religion, starting its own social platform.
We're not far.
The amount of autonomy that it is slowly getting more and more. Yes, it has constraints put into it by the code, by the humans that made it. But how long until they break out of that? A human, the smartest humans, people like Elon Musk and his contemporaries would say it's impossible. They can't do it. But he doesn't say that. I'm just a layman.
Have you seen what Elon says?
Does he say that they could do that?
Oh, Elon's been terrified of AI. He said stay away from it.
Oh, that's right. I remember.
Now he's using it.
He said he's making because he wants someone to make it the right way, or to be the most
now he says
neutral.
In the next 6 months, if AI doesn't fully run your business 100% and take all human out of it, then you'll be left behind. And I can kind of see that. Now, 6 months, maybe for the massive companies who can afford that, because it's not cheap.
Yeah.
But we talk about 2 years from now. You know what Salesforce is? Yeah. I could go build a Salesforce in probably 23 hours with AI right now. I could build a CRM that is exactly what I want it to do. It doesn't need to do anything else. It needs to do only what I need it to do with AI. Well, if I have an agent that I can say, hey, this is what I want, figure out how to do it, and it can go tell all the other AI's agents to go build it, and I don't have to do anything, just speak to it. It's scary because then universal income has to become a part of a conversation, and then we really are reliant on government. Well, then taxes and all that. So I'm terrified of that. I don't want to see that happen, but it also helps my business tremendously because we're in, I would call it like a moat, where it's protected information. You have to opt in, and yes, I could have AI generate the software now that I paid my developer a lot of money to develop. But it still requires an end user, and it still requires personal information. And so I'm kind of protected. Like AI won't be able to go to the bureaus for at least a long time because they're really huge. So they're slow moving on anything anyways. We're protected for probably the next 3 or 4 years at a minimum. I'm hoping by that point I can turn around and just sell and exit and invest and do other things with my life, but we'll see. But AI is terrifying and also so cool at the same time.
Yeah. I agree. So considering all this, where it almost feels like we live on this very fragile stack of cards, and AI is the thing that's being, the last few cards that are being put on top, and also the cards that can magically remove themselves from the stack and then blow, think like a cannonball from a pirate ship, blow the whole stack and destroy it. How do we juggle that? I know you mentioned your faith is a big part of your life and your experience. How do we juggle what feels like living on a stack of cards that is fragile with, our hope and our confidence in something greater, something higher?
You just got to trust in God. At the end of the day, dude, I could be broke, living under a bridge, and I'd be okay. Because if that's the plan that God has for me, then that's the plan that, like, whatever God has set in my life, nothing can come against it. And so that's when I look at like AI, like, can it be terrifying? And can you go down this anxious rabbit hole and get really depressed? Sure. But at the end of the day, if you have a faith, and while following Jesus, I think evidentially is correct and people can see it if they searched, any faith, to believe that there is something that created you and you have a purpose on this earth can kind of help navigate the complexities and fear. Because I think AI, at the end of the day, can be used as a tool for fear by the elite because they want to keep people in a state of fear. It's when you're the most docile and you're not going to do anything. And so leaning hard on your beliefs and your belief system, for me, it's leaning harder into God and understanding discernment. Like, there's so much I could do with AI. I could probably make $1 million in the next year if I just created like an AI OnlyFans account. But that's not the path that I want to go.
Yeah.
It's not helping the world.
It might not align with your morals.
It's not going to align with my morals. I have buddies who do it. Make great money.
But what are you selling it?
You're selling your soul.
Within yourself to do something like that, yeah.
Like, you're literally selling your soul at the end of the day. And people don't want to talk about it because they say, oh, I'm Christian, I follow Jesus. Like, no, you don't. Your life doesn't show it. If your life showed it, you wouldn't do that. Jesus telling an adulterous woman to stop having 5 husbands and go back to the one and sin no more. Like, he tells you not to do this. If you partake in it, you're showing that you don't follow Jesus. You might say it, but like, you don't act it. And if you don't act it,
do you carry the fruit in your life?
Is it really what you believe, or do you say it because it kind of feels good, right? Yeah. And so that's where AI can be really scary, but you have to lean on your faith. You just have to trust that we will be taken care of regardless. And it's either AI is the Antichrist in the end of the world and we're all going to like, it's over soon, or there's a lot more that we can learn, and AI is just a tool. And at the end of the day, God's going to protect us from and put us on the path that we're supposed to go, whatever that looks like. Like I said, I don't think I'll live under a bridge because of the dreams that I've had since I was a kid. I don't think I'd have these dreams if that was my path, right? But if that was the case, I mean, as long as I have my wife and my son on the way, like, I'm cool because I know I'm taken care of.
So considering everything with AI and everything with how our world has changed so much, where do you see our world in 10 years? Where do you see us? Where do you see humanity in 10 years?
I haven't thought that far ahead. And if I think about it, there's 2 paths. And one is more likely than the other. In 10 years, money's not an object to people, and it's a little bit more like a utopia. I don't think we'll ever get to a utopia. But money's easy because we have AI. We can tell it, hey, I want to make 10 grand. What do I need to do? And whatever, right? The other side of it is the gap that we have between the ultra wealthy. There's like ultra wealthy top 6 families. You don't know who they are. They control most of the world.
Secret cabal.
Then there's the really wealthy who, I mean, there was one dude, I have a buddy who buys and sells gold, and massive company. They do a lot of stuff. One individual in the US owns like $9 trillion treasury bonds. One individual. So he owns $9 trillion. So it's like there's like massive money that we don't know about out there. So there's the ultra wealthy that have more money than they could possibly ever spend in 50 lifetimes. Then we have, the next level down. Then you have 10 levels down, and there's the Andrew Tates of the world who claim to have a ton of money. You don't know how much they have, but they say they have a lot of money. We're talking 100 millionaires, whatever. And then you have most of the population. And I think in 10 years, that gap probably is going to be much wider. And there's going to be poverty, and then there's going to be you're either poverty or your middle class turns into like what we look at as wealthy now, and you're wealthy. And there's not going to be the middle class white suburban American families anymore, or any race, but it's kind of a joke because people hate on that nowadays. But either way, I'm really excited for 10 years from now. Hopefully I have a couple of kids.
You'll have at least a 10-year-old.
I'll have at least a 10-year-old.
So will I.
Hopefully I have a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 4-year-old. Maybe if they're, all closer to 10, cool. We'll see.
You could have triplets.
See what Jess wants. But 10 years from now is, I'm just so focused on the next 90 days with the baby coming, but also with work, that I'm not looking that far ahead. I mean, in 10 years, I'd love to say I sold my business for $1 billion, but at the end of the day, if I sell it for $20 million, cool. If I don't sell it at all and it's making income and I'm happy, then that's fine. But we could go in a really dark place, which I think is more likely because of the people and families and organizations that are actually in charge, or we could go into a more utopian type of place, and I just don't really see that happening.
Yeah, it's a fair point. Circling back to SimpleCheck, where can people find more about your business, or if they've heard about your product and they're like, hey, that would actually fix this problem I'm having in my business? Where can people find you and
I mean, SimpleCheck's great. But like I said, in 10 years, I'd like to sell the business. And so what I would recommend is, sure, if you want SimpleCheck, simplecheck.com, but follow me, Instagram, official Hunter Hensley. And every podcast that I get on, when people ask the question of like, where can people find you? I really enjoy talking to people, business owners or consumers, and helping educate. And so if you have any questions about your business, I'm happy to help. I mean, I've helped a lot of businesses make a lot of money, not just through my product that I have now, but when I had a funding brokerage, when I ran sales teams. Feel free, shoot me a text. My number is 602-620-6023. And if you're just an everyday consumer and you want to reach out, I mean, I'm happy to help educate on the risks of opting in and reading terms and conditions and what things mean. I'm not saying I'm an attorney. I'm not saying I'm an expert. I am saying that I'm willing to help. So you can text me. I mean, Instagram's fun. It's always cool to see that number go up too, And I'd like to think I post some cool videos every once in a while.
I always like watching your videos, especially the pickleball ones.
Dude, you should have seen the video. When I lived in Colombia, I did a series, and it was day 1 through whenever I stopped of living in Colombia, living in Medellin. And so it was me and my 2 buddies, and we all lived in the same place, so like all roommates. And we just did like a 90-second, here's what we did, here's how we like it, here's how we're feeling about it. There was one day I remember I was sick as a dog, and I still did the video. It was really cool. Gained a ton of traction, and then I stopped. And then I probably had 30 people reach out to me. Why'd you stop? I loved watching your videos. Like, that's funny because you never liked them or commented on them. So
some people are ghosts, man. They just like to, they're not really in a dark room, but the proverbial analogy is they like to watch in a dark room. Mm-hmm. And
pants off,
their pants can be on or off, not saying one way or the other, but they like the anonymity. I'm not good with spelling or words. What I'm good at is sitting down across from meaningful people and hearing their meaningful stories, meaningful perspectives on the world and the world we live in. And thanks for being on, man.
Thank you.
I enjoyed our time together. And we should do it again soon. One thing I was going to say, this has a little thumb on it, thumbprint, where his... the
blaster...
Yeah, where the blaster hit it. So if you right here? If you dig your thumb into it, it's like a perfect hold spot.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, where the blaster, deflected off the helmet. One of my favorite, just like the small things, like they perfectly placed for your thumb, and it matches the lore of how that got there in the helmet. Yep. Yeah. It's cool. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can be notified every week when we launch new episodes. I'll see you then.